All right, so we got Saint Maud, which was my most anticipated horror film of last year. It obviously did not happen because of something called the coronavirus or COVID 19. You ever heard of it? Me neither. This was sent to me by Wyatt Terwilliger. I actually have another copy of this, which I'm going to be sending to Wyatt eventually. I need to do that. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I'm slacking on that shit. But after having watched it the first time, I really enjoyed it, but I was like, I'm kind of let down. I don't know what to think about this movie. I need to see it again, and I need to think about it more, and I need to see where I'm at on that second viewing. Hopefully, I'm at a love on it so that I can come in much higher than I was. Well, I shouldn't say much higher because I did quite enjoy it the first time. I just wanted to love it. I wanted to think it was fantastic. And on this second viewing, I can proudly say that I am there with it. I think this movie is fucking great. So thank God for that. I know there are a lot of people who were in my comments who were in agreement with me on that first viewing, being like, yeah, it was a letdown. Which, when I said it was a letdown, I was saying it very mildly. Like, because of how high my expectations were. The fact that I didn't think it was perfect or exactly what I had hoped it to be. Which my expectations is what killed it for me because I was waiting on it for too damn long, and I had watched the trailer like 15 fucking times by that point because it just kept coming on here and there, and I think it's a great trailer, and it just made me believe that the film was going to be a lot crazier than it was, and this film does not need to be anything more than it actually is throughout this film, now having watched it the second time. And I watched it with my girlfriend Kaylee, who also loved the fuck out of it, and I think her love and our discussion of it during and after really amplified my actual love for it as well. So we got that now, and yeah, it's a great film, man. It really is, and I completely understand why people might not like this because of the slow burn nature of it, because maybe they think not enough happens. But what is this film really more than anything to me is a very tragic tale of a very mentally ill girl. Now, we're going to be talking spoilers, obviously. But realistically, I mean, I don't see any other way to interpret this film than she's mentally ill. Like, I don't see any other way, and that's that. Like, the last second of this film is haunting. It's the best fucking part of this movie, and it might be the best final second to any film I've ever watched. Like, to get that confirmation that this really is all in her head. To have that doubt finally break in the last seconds, which is just her screaming in agony. And they could have held on that shot for 10 seconds and just watched her scream and burn and this and that. And I don't think it would have had as devastating as an effect as it did, because it's so quick, because it's so visceral. It really, like, and how quick it is. It's very jarring, and you kind of have to like take a second and be like, whoa, oh shit, oh wow, okay. And it's not so in your face. It's very subtle. It's very quick. I shouldn't say subtle. It's very, in your face, abrupt for the very, very moment that it's there. I know I'm jumping ahead to the end here, but I think it's such an important moment for the entire film, right? It's how we talk about the film. It's the confirmation that this is a woman who had something horrible happen, right? So she killed a patient. She tried to give this patient CPR. This is, my interpretation of the film anyways. She tried to save a patient. She couldn't. She blamed herself for this. She ended up losing her job or leaving because of it. People, had some kind of speculation of maybe what happened. Maybe she did her job wrong. Maybe she killed the person. I don't know. But this person died. She tried to give him CPR or something and cracked their chest. Maybe they're a frail old person that couldn't handle the pressure, whatever. This is what we see when she's having sex with that guy and she crushes his chest, which is a very jarring scene and really unsettling. Great stuff there. Great practicals or CG, maybe a blend of the two. Whatever it is, it looks great. But we get this opening sequence where she's with a patient. The patient's dead. She's sitting there. She looks up at the bug that's on the wall, which the bug symbolisms, I'm not exactly sure if the bug is how she views herself, insignificant, or what. I don't know yet, but I'll definitely listen to what you guys got to say about the bug and what that means to the film. But that's what I've got at the moment. And in this moment, in order to deal with her grief and her guilt and all of that stuff, she becomes, Catholic or born again or whatever the fuck she is. She's religious. She's very religious, whatever that is. I'm not a religious person. I apologize. I don't know what the classifications would be for exactly what she is in this film, but she's somebody who cannot deal with it, and she has to call upon God and make reason for this. And she's going to serve her penance. She's going to become this martyr. She's going to beat herself up. She's going to torture herself. And she's going to try to live the word of God, and she's going to try to save souls. And unfortunately, there are a lot of mentally ill people who are drawn to religion, mostly because of the fact that they want to feel purpose. They want, not saying religion is good or bad, or I think it's bullshit or it's not. That's not even what I'm trying to get at here. But there are mentally ill people who find all sorts of different things, religion being one of those things, and they use them for the worst possible things they possibly can. And they also do it for this sense of purpose. They do it for sense of, trying to figure out life. Like, what is the purpose of us floating around in the cosmos? Like, I have to have something more here, otherwise it's pointless. And I can understand that. I really, really can. But it's very unfortunate when people take it to this degree, because this is not beneficial for anybody. You're not doing anyone a favor. You're not helping anyone by being this deep into it, by allowing yourself to fall this deep into a psychosis to try to deal with your guilt, your grief, or the lack of feeling like you have purpose. So it's a very, very tragic tale of a very lonely girl. They even point this out in the film. This Amanda girl that she's hanging out with, she says to her, "You must be the loneliest girl I've ever seen." Like, this is the heart of the film. This is this poor, young, very attractive girl. I mean, yeah, in the film she might not look it, but she's a very pretty girl. She's very, who knows what her life was like before this. But it was better than this. It was better than this. Whatever she's doing now is going to be the lowest point of her life. And obviously she doesn't make it out of this, so it's the last bit of her life. And her narration in this film is all her speaking to God. It's letters to God, what she's writing to her Lord and Savior, which is a very interesting way to present this film from a narrative standpoint, like, the narration. I really like that as an artistic choice, and it, of course, talks to her mental capabilities at that time. She can only really think about religion, and she has to keep herself in constant faith. Otherwise, she starts to doubt, and when she starts to doubt, she falls back into her own ways, and she starts falling into her mental traumas of the past, and she can't deal with things, so she needs pure faith in order to heal, in order to get through things, and any shake of doubt at all is going to send her spiraling into a place where she's going to have to overcompensate to try to gain back the faith that she's lost, is which kind of the balancing act of this movie, of her, starting with maybe no faith, and when she kills that patient, to having like pure, complete faith, then losing faith, then coming back and trying to regain it, then losing it for a moment, and then gaining it back, and then, having it until the end, and then losing it last second before she dies. It's all about faith and doubt, faith and doubt throughout, and she kind of pushes back and forth. And we know from a conversation that she has a fairly promiscuous past, from what I could tell, and she, when she's in pain, she uses sex as a cover, as a mask for her agony. And this is something I unfortunately can heavily relate to. So this is a part of the film that's going to work for me, maybe more than it is for others. Turning to sex as opposed to drugs or alcohol or what have you. to try to feel something. And that's just it. She's trying to feel anything when she has her breakdown, and she goes out and she gives this one dude a hand job, and then she goes and she fucks this other guy, and then he even like starts to fuck her when she doesn't even want him to, and she says like stop, and he doesn't stop. And instead of fighting him, instead of fighting back, she just lays there and takes it, either because she thinks she deserves it, or maybe because she's like hoping she's going to feel something, even though she might feel like she's being raped. Whatever it is, she's in this place of just pure misery. Pure misery. The fact that she would let herself be fucking raped like that is just so tragic and so fucking sad. This whole film is just pure of like, just filled with pure sadness and devastation and loneliness and a search for one's purpose. And this is a tragic film, man. And what an incredible directorial debut by Rose Glass. Holy shit, written and directed too. What incredible performances from Mafia. How the fuck do you say this girl's name? And then the girl who plays Amanda, the girl that she's taking care of, whatever. But anyways, I was getting to the sexual nature of her life, and there was a point to all of that outside of her, trying to mask her pain with sex. Also, she connects with God in a very sexual way. Anytime she has interactions with God and she thinks that he feels like she's doing good, she even talks about this with Amanda and is like, I can feel it, and it starts welling up inside of me, and it's like almost pulsating in a way or whatever. This is very reminiscent. Even the lighting in this film, which my girlfriend pointed out to me, is pulsating, which reminds me of like how women describe their orgasms, and I feel like when that happens in those scenes, when she's like having this religious experience of sorts with what she sees as God, and she's orgasming, she's fucking coming, like she it's intense, and her facial distortions of just like hitting this high degree of ecstasy. She's hit nirvana. She's fucking like, she's out there. She's in heaven with how she feels, and this is purely sexual in her nature. She's clearly having an orgasm. God is touching her, and in all the right places. So yeah, I mean, this is also very interesting that's where she goes with God, that there's like a sexual nature to their relationship, which is, I think, kind of goes further to talking about how she deals with her problems, that everything is based in sex and her stimulation, and that's how she connects, or that's how she feels accepted, or whatever. Just as I said, with my own past encounters. We also find out her real name is Katie, so she has this kind of new name, new persona, new personality that she's taken on in her life, because she's trying to forget her past. And yeah, I mean, throughout the film, she sees things. She sees herself lifting off a bed. She sees a towel fall down with a crucifix inside. She sees all these things that is supposed to be an indicator of God presence, and she even hears the voice of God in her room and speaks to her. And this girl's way gone. She is fully immersed, and it was when she doubts is when things start to fall apart. And then in her last moments, she goes to this woman's house to try to save her soul after she embarrassed her at a party, and she slapped her across the face and lost her job, and now she's going out and she's doubting, and when she does doubt, she has to punish herself by putting tacks in her fucking shoes and burning her wrists on the stove. And it's so horrible to think that there are people who are actually like this and abuse themselves because they don't feel like they have enough faith, or they've doubted for a moment. Oh my good God, this is just horrible. But she goes to this woman's house and she goes to save her soul. And in this moment where the woman, I think what we see is true up until the point where she's, of course, demonic. But before that, she basically talks some doubt into her. And in order to counterbalance that doubt, she then projects this persona of a demon onto this girl in the bed, this woman in the bed, and it gets thrown across the room, and she comes back and she attacks her and she stabs her with some scissors, which kind of reminds me of The Empty Man, which I just covered 2 fucking seconds ago. And she just stabs her obviously to death, and then she goes out, and this is what grants her her wings, right? She's done this amazing deed, and now she's an angel. She's a saint. She's Saint Maud. Because she even says that her favorite saint is Saint Mary Magdalene, who in some iterations of the Bible and the interpretations is a prostitute. So this would make sense for her backstory. And she even remarks, Amanda remarks, like, did they even make a necklace of her? And she's like, no, I had to buy it online. Like, no, she really seeked this thing out because this is who she relates to most in the Bible, which of course makes perfect sense from what we know of her. But yeah, so then this woman creates doubt in her. She has to snuff her out, and in this moment, she has ascended. She's become an angel. She has wings, and now she has to go and do her one last bit. I mean, at this point, I feel like she knows she's fucked. She just killed somebody. So now it's time to take that ultimate sacrifice, set herself ablaze, so that everyone can see her ascending to the heavens in this moment. And when she does, she has this delusion that people are worshiping at her feet, and she's showing them something very biblical, something that is only talked about in the olden days of the Bible, that people were rising to the heavens for all to see and whatnot. I think this was her moment to do that, and she delusionally believes that's happening in that moment when she sets herself on fire, and it's very majestic and beautiful, and she's got the wings, and she's gorgeous, and that's great. And then boom, hard cut to her screaming in agony, realizing, oh my god, I'm fucking dying, this is not real. And that's her last moment before she's snuffed out, and it's over, and her life has come to an end for seemingly no reason. And whether or not her religious beliefs were accurate, her way of going about them, to me, were not were not good and not accurate. I'm sure I missed some stuff. I didn't even look at my notes once, which is really annoying because I took so many. But kind of just going through them really quick, trying to find anything that maybe I missed. Let's see here. I think I mentioned pretty much everything. I love that. I love the shot of her coming out of the house after she's killed, and she's just like joyously kind of floating, almost like on a treadmill. But you can feel like you're just seeing her feet dragging across the ground, floating across her little walkway there in front of the stairs. Great stuff. We even get Nancy the cockroach credited in the credits. So the cockroach actually was one cockroach, and this was Nancy the cockroach. I thought that was pretty funny. And yeah, the whole film is told through her perspective and through her, her mind. So anything you're seeing in the film, you just need to try to interpret what is real and what isn't. And I think I have a pretty good idea at this point. I also think that she has homosexual tendencies, which she doesn't like, and that's why she doesn't like that Amanda has them with this girl that's coming over. That's clearly, I think, a prostitute. She's paying her for her time and her sex. And then her and Amanda have this moment where she reaches out and they grab hands as they're both kind of orgasming together with the touch of God. And I think in that moment, that's where she has this, she's enamored with her. She's sexually attracted to her. And I don't think she's allowed to have that in her religious beliefs. So this is why, there's some kind of a disconnect there. And ultimately she calls her out on this, and she's able to create that doubt in her, which then she has to overbalance and make her demonic. But yeah, I think she's repressing her homosexual urges as well, especially with probably her hatred towards men for what she's experienced in her life. So all that stuff makes sense. But beautiful film, so fucking well directed, great visual storytelling here, great acting. Music choices are all really cool. Yes, maybe not enough happens for certain people, but upon rewatch, I have to say the film, as it plays out, is pretty much perfect for the kind of story that it's trying to tell, and it rounds well, and the ending is memorable, to say the least. So there you go. I just talked for oh my god, hour and 40 straight minutes talking, doing 4 different reviews. I'm burnt. Anyways, hopefully the audio took on all these. Otherwise, I'm quitting my channel. I swear to God, I will quit the channel. If the audio didn't take on these, I'm done forever. Fuck it. Anyway, guys, adios.